exchange some technical topics. In this short video we're going to discuss and show the principles of updating software ECU on a vehicle. We've got 2012 Audi A6 in the workshop. I'm going to check one of the ECUs to see a current version of software, and then if it needs an update we're going to go online, grab the new file from the internet, and we're going to use an interface here. We've got an AVDI, Arboretus AVDI, we're going to use as the device for encoding or loading software onto the new unit. This it's an interface which runs some software which enables us to hook our laptop up. Using the software provided by this company, we can dialogue with the ECU, we can check codes and data and special functions. We can also check to see software version numbers, and it gives us the ability to program and update the software should we need to. It's also got some other pretty cool features in this software using this tool, specialist functions replacing ECUs, component protection, key coding, and a whole host of other stuff which we'll probably look at in a future episode. But for now we're going to take the software over to the car and the hardware. We'll communicate with the car, check the software download version number, and then if it needs updating we'll go online, try and find an update, grab the update from online, install it on our PC, and then flash it back into the car and hopefully update the controller. So we'll show you the process sort of end to end. Okay, over to the car. Okay, one of the important things we have to remember when we're doing software updates with ECUs, and in fact most of the diagnostic processes that take some time, but it's particularly important for flashing data inside the ECUs, that we need some form of stable battery support unit. We can see here we have our units provided by Snap-on, which is a battery support unit which enables us to hook up to the vehicle. We can see our black and our red lead there, and support the battery during the programming function. This enables the battery to support systems that may or may not become active. Sometimes when you're programming an ECU, particularly body and also some powertrain stuff, is actuators will come on during that process. Sometimes the fan will run. If you're doing body systems, maybe the wipers will go, the windows may open and close. And during the process of that recoding and reinitialization, the battery level can dip. If the battery level dips as we push software into the new ECU, that can cause an issue where the software could be corrupt, and essentially you could end up with a controller that is unable to receive the software, and it could damage the control unit and enable no communications, and essentially the controller will be defunct. So battery support unit is critical, and when we switch this unit on in a second, we'll put it into flash programming mode. We'll set a stabilized voltage, and that will ensure that our transition of data from our laptop to the car goes smoothly and without any trouble. Okay, so we've got our laptop hooked up to the car using the interface here, and we've got ours also hooked up to a pass-through box over there. Strictly speaking, most technically says you shouldn't have a pass-through box. The interface should be connected directly to the car, but the testing we've done using the device and the interface and the pass-through box hasn't had an issue. But to be absolutely technically correct, we shouldn't use the box. We should just connect directly. We're going to fire up the software, so Arboretus VAG. I'm just going to zoom in a bit so you can see the screenshots a bit more clearly. And when we locate the software, it's going to, there we are, check up, connect to the internet, just verify our license. We're going to take a look at the transmission control unit, and we're going to open the transmission control unit. And the software is very similar to other software you may have seen for VAG. This software is actually quite powerful. It's got many other functions. Some absolutely quite advanced. What we are interested in is, once we make communications with the unit, we can see the VAG number for that unit, 4G1927156B. Once we make communications, we can check the trouble codes, and there are none. And down here we've got an option for flash a software update. At the moment we can see VAG number 4G, that's the part number we've just seen, and there's a software version number 002. We can check the flash status of that control unit, preconditions ready for flashing, and what we can do now we've got that part number, we'll write that number down, we'll go off to our other device, we'll see if we can find a software version update for that, and if so, we can come back to this machine and we can install the software via USB into the machine, and then call it off the hard drive or the flash drive using this interface, and hopefully program the control unit. So I'm just going to exit from here. I'll just write that number down. Okay, got that. We're going to exit from here, and we're going to go back to our other host computer and try and find that, see if we've got a software version for that car. Okay, so we've come to our master PC, and what we've got with our master PC is we've got a flash file in there, Audi flash file. It's 29th of the 1st, 2015, and if we have a look, that's essentially it's 6 gig nearly file that we've downloaded from the interweb. If we go to Audi, we've extracted that flash file into our machine, and here are all the individual flash files. So what we need to do now is search for our number that we've got from the car. So if we put a search term in here, star, well, we go to search Audi, and then we could be able to find that star 4, and then a capital G. And what you'll start to see then is it's finding 4G, and we go to 4G 199, and here we are, 429. We're after 1927 55, and we're looking for 56. So we look 56B. So that's the one we want. And so there's a number in there, 56B. And so what we can do now is we can copy that software number when we find it. Basically, we'll copy it to a pen drive, and we'll take the pen drive and take it back to our other PC, and then use the software, the Arbritis, to take it from the pen drive and install it on the machine. But essentially you can see then the software, the millions of bytes of data that we've got there contain all of the software flashes and files. Now we don't know what these are, we don't know what they do, we just know that they're software files set by Audi, and we have to identify the one we've got on the vehicle using the Audi part number, and then we're looking for the suffix to give us an idea of there's a software version update. Although unless it's a TSP or TPI, we don't know exactly the function of that software, what it's going to cure. So copy it to the drive, and then we'll take it back to the PC and do the update. So I'm just going to pop that software version into the USB drive here. We should just wait for the unit to recognize that. We're going to make communications again with our control unit here, transmission. We're going to go flash a software version update, click OK, and we're going to go get flash status as we did before. I'm just going to zoom in there so you can see what's happening. There we go, and we're going to go load from file, and I'm going to say it's found my stick. So there, JD Audi flash, and in there we've got a number, we've got 002, and our number that we found here is the same part number with 004. We'll click OK. It's basically that file we've got from Audi, an FRF file. We'll click open. It's going to process the data over the internet, so the unit's actually going to go online and just validate our software. Let's just come back out there a bit. Processing that data. And once it's got it ready, it's saying we've got that unit number there. We're going to say update the flash. And it just gives us a quick check. You're going to reflash this device number, file version. You are going to reflash with a software that's different VAG number, and the only thing that's different is the suffix there, that last number. Reflashing with the wrong software may damage the unit. Do you want to continue? Yeah, we're pretty sure we do. And then what we'll see is the device enters bootloader mode, and bootloader mode will check the software, check the version number, package the software, then send it to the device. It starts the device up in boot mode. Boot mode basically is a special programming mode that enables the device to come offline, but for it then to be programmable. So we'll come offline, it'll be programmable, we'll stick the new software in there, and it'll update the software number, and the unit will run new software. Now of course, ordinarily what we would think about is, as the unit's doing the software update, why would we be doing software updates? Well, generally we would have been sent either a TSB, we would have found a technical service bulletin or technical product information document that said the behaviour that we've got from the vehicle. We would normally think about a symptom or a customer report of bad behaviour. We would find a TSB, the TSB would make reference to a software version update. We would then update the unit with software, and we would probably do that early on in our diagnostic process. If we're thinking about fault finding, what we know about software updates is they don't generally they won't overcome mechanical faults, so the engine, the pistons hang out of the engine, or the clutches are slipping on the transmission, or other things like wiring faults. It won't solve broken components, and it won't heal broken wires. But having said that, when the cars are made and as they are operated through their life, things drift, mechanical tolerances, maps inside the ECU, some of the parameters that they're loaded with can drift from their original calibration, and depending on how good the software is written or how far the unit drifts from its original plan, it may fall into an unencountered set of variables, i.e. the transmission may wear a little bit more than it should have, or there's a problem that the software engineer didn't encounter initially and it may snatch a gear, or it may not engage the gear properly, or whatever happens. So the software update is the manufacturer, in this case Audi, would recognize that there's been a calibration issue, as they would call it. So the software that runs inside the device, which makes it function correctly, has got a slight anomaly, and they can make small adjustments in software. Oh, flash failed to device. Okay, they make adjustments in software and hopefully cure that problem. We've got a slight issue, flash failed to device. So what we'll do is we'll exit that. We'll just check for trouble codes. And what we may have found is the unit may have come offline, so we may need just to cycle the ignition. Hardware number, let's read DTCs. It's not happy with read DTCs. Okay, let's go back in, open up. Let's go flash a software version. Let's go get flash status. Failed to retrieve. So what we'll do, I think, is we'll go back and do a cycle of the ignition key. So bear with me, we'll just set ignition off and ignition on. We'll just, bear with me a second, we'll just pop our unit back on, flash reprogram, we'll just set the voltage, and we'll come back to our software. It's always very interesting and exciting when they do fail to do the programming. We'll open that ECU, we'll check for trouble codes, see if it's communicating. It's found the software version number, and it's found the unit number. So let's have a look and see if it will read a trouble code. Flash a software version, get flash status, ready for flashing, load from file, we're going to do 004, it's on 002, we'll just restart the process, open up, it's going to post the data to the internet, and as we saw, what should have happened before, it should run through the software process, updating the control unit ECU software. It can be a risk, and it's interesting that that's happened. We're going to click update the flash, and this is the same warning message we got. It can be interesting and a bit nervy, because if a software update doesn't proceed and can't proceed, you can end up with the unit being damaged. So doing a software update shouldn't be undertaken lightly, and really we should hopefully engage the customer and make them aware of the potential problem of a failed software update that could damage their ECU. And in that case, if it does go wrong, we have to think about who's liable, who's responsible. Would you stand behind the cost of the new unit with the customer? Is there some element of mitigation of responsibility? Would you talk to Volkswagen? So there are many implications of doing software updates which we have to take into account. In this case, we're going to just retry the software update, and at the moment it's going for a transfer data. So hopefully this will progress. Hopefully you can't hear me sweating this side of the camera, having to potentially buy a new ECU for this car. I don't think so. I think we've restarted the process, and it all looks to be going fairly well. Of course, once we complete the software update, we'll have to take this car for a road test to verify the operation and function of the transmission. In this case, as we've gone into transmission to update the software, there may be relearns depending on what part of the software is updated. In some elements of software, it could be just the firmware which makes the program run, or it could also update, erase the memory of learnt values that exist inside that ECU, and we'll have to undertake a process of relearning how that software and how that transmission function in the car. So it might want to, for instance, typically with a transmission, it may get us to engage the gears and go up through the revs in a certain way. We might have to do it in manual mode, and then we might have to go across to auto and get the transmission to cycle through its operation before it relearns. And then it's set to give back to the customer. But generally speaking, if we renew or replace software on a transmission controller, for instance, adaptive values may be lost, and we may well have to drive this vehicle to get them to relearn. As we look at the screen there, we can see it progressing across the base of the screen. We've got the blocks and the current blocks moving across nicely. What we're hoping for, with fingers crossed, is it makes it to the end, in which case we'll do several laps of the workshop with our arms above our head shouting yay yay it's worked. As it's just whizzing along, it's a little bit like watching paint dry, and we should get to the end, and then if it gets to the end, hopefully we should get a confirmation that all's gone well. A couple of percent just to the end, nearly there. There we go. Writing data, verifying the data integrity. So now it's going to do probably a checksum, in which case the software that was sent from the computer will be checked as it's received. There's a checksum number which essentially makes sure all the bits of information have gone across, and it looks like then it's yeah, transfer finished okay, checking the application okay, flash finished okay. So we'll exit that one and we'll go for read DTCs. No errors in there. We'll stop communication with the transmission and we'll re-establish communication with the transmission. We'll go for software flasher version, and you can see now that that number has changed to 004. So the software we've taken from Audi and used this application to update has worked, and therefore our software is updated. The other thing that we ought to be careful of, or not careful of, is to consider is on the units that are fitted to this vehicle, we might want to go in there and just check for other fault codes. So if we have a look at selecting this chassis, so we'll go to, this is a 4F Passat, sorry, 4FA6. So we look for chassis 4F and then Audi A6, Audi C6. We've got the options to communicate with the engine ECU and basically see if there are any errors in there. And with our fault code testing, we ought to be able to go in there and read the trouble codes. So we'll go to Vehicle Services, scan all the ECUs, click OK, and this for now will talk to all the control units in the vehicle, and it will pull the fault codes up that are in there. What I might do now is just pause the video, allow it to do its thing, and then I'll show you the outcome. So we'll just do a bit of sort of slowing down of the video because it's going to take a couple of minutes to talk to all the ECUs. Oh, we can see them coming online actually. Here we go. Look, one code in the engine master, 4 in the ABS, 2 in the EIS entry. And really why these fault codes are present in the system are as the control unit, the ignition switched on so the car's live, and these units have missed the transmission unit while it's been offline being programmed. Generally when we program that unit, part of the boot mode that the system puts it in, it stops it from communicating on the network, and that's to stop really data collisions happening. We're sending data to the transmission ECU. We don't want it really to be partaking in normal communications with the rest of the car. It goes into boot loader mode or bootstrap mode. We put the data in there, and then when we finish, we reboot the transmission control ECU. It comes back online, and then it re-establishes communications with the other units. Obviously, whilst it's been offline, the other units may well have got fault codes stored, and these are likely to be for you know, the unit's gone missing. I've been unable to communicate, or key data that comes from that ECU has been missed by other ECUs. So I'll just pause the video. When we finish communicating, I'll come back on and we'll show you a list of all the codes that we've got. We'll take a look at a sample code as well. Okay, so we're back online, and we can have a quick look now through the fault codes that are there. If we pick ABS and have a quick look at the ABS unit, what we should see, if we dive in there to fault codes, read DTC, we should see that those fault codes are all related to wheel speed sensors and function of vehicle speed. So they're all sort of yeah, functions of the ABS or the transmission unit having gone faulty. So we'll go in there and clear all the DTCs. So we'll force the unit to clear the DTCs, and all of those DTCs which have been caused by us taking that control unit offline should cause the you know, the trouble codes to be gone, and we can go back in there and check them all. So we'll go back into vehicle selection. Let's have a quick look at the gateway configuration list. So there are no DTCs. We can see now some are not responding in ECUs that aren't fitted, but the DTCs Let's have a quick look in there. We've got read the DTC, no errors, exit, and there we go, no DTCs. Instrument cluster, this one here is the one that's launched. Read DTCs, there are no errors. So if we go through these codes, there are no DTCs stored now, all of the units are clear, and essentially the car's ready to take back on the road. And that's really us sort of done. In a way, our software unit's updated. We'll need to drive the car to reset the adaptions, and that should be us cooking on gas. Okay, so that brings to the end of our video for showing you software updates on modern vehicles. So by way of a recap, we connected the vehicle using a software interface. We checked the software version of that vehicle. We then went online, we found the software update, we installed the software update on the vehicle, and then we checked that it went okay. We had a slight glitch in the middle where it failed. We reattempted and it worked a treat. We've been out for a test drive. The vehicle now performs perfectly as we hoped it would. Obviously we would normally have found a TPI or TSB to work out as a software update, or in our diagnostic process if the behaviour seemed a little bit strange. Before we get too far into test and measurement, we might run a software update just to see if that cures the fault. And that sort of summarises what we've done. If you want to see this live, we run software updates on some of our training courses. So look on our website to have a look and see which courses are coming up, and if you fancy coming along in a workshop environment we can run you through that process face to face. All that remains to say now is thanks very much for watching this little video. Hopefully it's given you either a bit of insight, maybe a bit of confidence to try and do this on your own, and all that remains for me to say is we'll see you next time.